I'm just not good enough. I'm unworthy of certain things, unworthy of love, affection, someone who will treat me correctly. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the talent to do the things that I want to do. Too young to do that, too old to do this, and I'm really bad with money. But does any of that sound familiar? Does any of that sound like something you have probably said or thought about yourself? If your answer is yes, then stay tuned, because in this episode, we are going to talk about how to have a mindset makeover and transform our limiting beliefs into empowering thoughts.
Welcome to Beautifully Rebellious. Tune in as we challenge the status quo, unlock mindset secrets, and inspire you to live outside the box. I'm your host, Erin Burr, and let's dive on in.
Welcome back to this episode of the Beautifully Rebellious podcast. Thanks again so much for continuously showing up here and supporting me. Let's just get this out the way in the beginning so I don't forget. If you have not yet done it, please subscribe to this channel. However you listen, if you listen to the podcast, subscribe on the platform that you listen. If you watch the videos on YouTube, which if you are just listening and you have not yet watched the videos, I highly encourage you to jump on here, because I get to see you, you get to see me. It just puts a little visual to everything you're hearing. But I get it. Some of y'all are just podcast people, and so I've got that covered. But if you are a YouTuber or a YouTube watcher, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you're aware of when I do drop the episodes. Because sometimes I do get a little off the schedule, and sometimes is often. But that's because life happens and things happen and we have to adjust. I also have some fun extra videos planned that I'm going to drop. So if you're not subscribed, you're never going to know when they're dropping. Also, please hit the thumbs up button to say that you do like the episode, and please leave a comment below, because that means we get to interact with each other, and I'm not just talking at the screen. I get to connect with the people who are watching also. All right. Now that we got that out the way, let's dive into the topic. So like I said, this episode is all about a mindset makeover. I have said it so many times. Words have power, thoughts have power. If we do not have control over our thoughts, we basically don't have control over our lives. We're just flying by the seat of our pants, if that's how the saying goes, which isn't necessarily always a bad thing, but it is when it comes to our thoughts, because we all have goals, we all have places we want to get in life, and we don't want to be stuck in places we don't want to be. And when we have limiting thoughts like the ones I said in the beginning, or other ones you may have thought of on your own, obviously, these impact our lives. They impact our lives, like here where we interact with others, and they impact our personal growth also. Limiting beliefs lowers our self-esteem and how we perceive ourselves. It makes us feel unworthy, which perpetuates the limiting beliefs. Now, we all do get into moments where we do have limiting beliefs, and that's okay, because we're humans. We're always going to have these moments where anything that I talk about, we do. That's why I give you tools on how you can switch it up faster, how you can recognize when you do these things and then change it so that you're not stuck in that mode, but you're able to bounce out and get into a better high vibrational state of being. But like I said, when we are experiencing limiting beliefs, it does lower our self-esteem and our perceived worth. Usually, when somebody gets stuck in the rut of negative beliefs, they tend to end up in this sort of freeze mode where they don't actually act. They don't take action on the things that they want to do because they don't believe they can do it. For whatever reason, they don't believe they can do it. And so they kind of freeze and they stall themselves in advancing in life. And like I said, we all have negative thoughts, but when we perpetuate the negative thought and we keep rehearsing it, it starts to creep into other areas of our life. So at first, maybe it's one negative belief, and then next thing you know, it's creeping into other areas, and then you start to have a negative belief about another area of your life, and then another area, and then another area. And that's when we start to see people who just have such negative mindsets. They're such pessimistic people, and let's be real, when you get around those people, you're just like, I don't really want to be around you because all you have is negative energy and you seem to think that nothing ever works out. At least that's how it is for me. I don't like to be around people who have a negative outlook on life and who really just get in their own way. And like I said, usually when we do have perpetual negative beliefs, we do freeze up, and we also tend to play small. We shrink ourselves because we believe that we are not good enough to do X, Y, and Z. And so we try to make ourselves smaller so that we are not seen, so that if we do mess up, nobody sees it. It's less noticeable. Or we don't even have to make a move because we're so small, no one's even aware of it. But you're aware. You're aware because you do get in this place where you feel that sense of like you should be doing more, and not like should be in like the shoulding way. I don't like shoulding things, like saying you should do this, but you know what I mean. You feel like there is more to life. You feel like you are meant to do more. But when we play small, we basically put ourselves in a box and we don't allow ourselves to reach our fullest potential. And then last but definitely not least, our limiting beliefs affect our relationships. When you have limiting beliefs and you do all these other things, like you play it small, you shrink yourself, you freeze, you don't act, it also plays out in your relationships. You believe that you're not worthy of certain things, and then your actions start to align with those beliefs, and then the people that you're in relationship with sense that from you, and then they also they basically reflect that back to us, because all relationships are mirrors, and so they reflect back our thoughts on us. And we then use that as fuel to be like, oh, see, that's exactly what I thought. I wasn't good enough for this person. And now they've agreed to that and they've said I wasn't good enough. And maybe they didn't even say that. Maybe they said something else and you just perceived it that way. But either way, it doesn't matter, because we project our thoughts onto others and those people will reflect them back to us, because that's how it works. They're mirrors reflecting our own beliefs back to us so that we can see it and hopefully recognize it and change it. But if we don't, we get stuck in the rut and it's just a horrible cycle that goes over and over and over again. So now that we've talked about the limiting beliefs and how they affect our lives, let's talk about some strategies on how we can overcome them and basically make over our mindset so that we have a more positive outlook on life and we are able to move forward in life and be the best people that we can be and that we were meant to be. So the first step is always identify the negative or limiting belief. You got to be able to recognize what it is, or else we cannot change it. And while you're at it, recognize if there's any associated thoughts with that belief. So maybe you have a core belief and then there's other thoughts that come along that kind of fuel that belief. Recognize all of it. I highly encourage this to be done with you and a notebook or journal, because it's very easy to just get started and then just let it flow out, and that's how you are able to step back afterwards and be like, all right, this is my negative or my limiting belief, or these are my limiting beliefs. These are the ones that kind of fuel that belief, and then we move to the next step, which is question the belief. Is it even true? Are these statements that are fueling that belief even true? Is there evidence to support these statements or beliefs as truth? Oftentimes, there isn't. Oftentimes, the beliefs that we have that are limiting us are not even rooted in a situation that has anything to do with that belief, if that makes sense. It will make sense more when you sit down with your journal and start writing about your limiting beliefs and the associated thoughts, because then you'll start to see where the root of it comes from. But I know from personal experience, I've had thoughts and limiting beliefs about certain things. And then when I sat down and kind of just worked through it, I realized that that entire situation, that entire belief, the way that I was feeling about myself had absolutely nothing to do with what I thought it was about. And it was completely unrelated. And I instead needed to address the other thing. And that then made these beliefs go away. It's more like there is a root cause, and these limiting beliefs end up being the symptoms of this root cause. And sometimes the symptoms have absolutely nothing to do with the actual sickness going on. They're just symptoms. So sit down and ask yourself, are these beliefs even true? And do I have good quality supportive evidence to say that they are true? And then after you've done that, it's time to flip the script. I love calling it flip the script because it's just so simple. When the negative thought comes up, or in this moment where you're sitting down journaling and you have listed out your negative thoughts, take a moment to flip the script. Find an alternative thought that speaks the opposite. It doesn't have to be something that you can't even believe is true. Keep it to something that you can definitely believe is true, but flip the script, even if it's one notch better. So if it is, I'm too old to get started on this passion project that I have, flip the script right there and say, I have the wisdom and the knowledge from my lifetime to pour into this passion project. You flip the script, because reality is you're never too old to get started to do anything, and with life you do attain more wisdom and more knowledge, and you honestly probably have gone through so many things that have put you in a place that you are ready. You're in your prime to get started on that passion project. And then of course, you should know this one's coming, create an affirmation. I kind of just did it when I flipped the script. It's basically what we're doing, but you create an affirmation. You can create a simpler one. And sticking with that same topic, you could create an affirmation or a few of them. If age is a limiting belief topic for you, then create a few affirmations about your age and how it actually is a positive thing. And so it could be as simple as, with age comes wisdom. I have so much knowledge to share because I have experienced so much in my lifetime already. And also a great one, like let's just say you're like 40 years old. I feel like a lot of people, except for when you get there, then you're like, nah, it's not old. But younger people tend to see every age as anything older than them. They always like freak out, like, oh, I'm getting so old. I'm hitting my 30s. I'm hitting my late 20s. And let's just say, okay, so you have a complex about your age. For some reason, you think you're too old to do things. You think your age is old, when in reality it's not. It's perspective. And that's why we're here to flip that script and change our perspective on it. But change your thoughts around it and build an affirmation around that saying, I am young. Age is nothing but a number. Just like Aaliyah said, age ain't nothing but a number. And I am as young as I feel. And then focus on doing things that make you feel youthful. Take care of your body. Feed yourself nutritious things. Things that make you feel alive and support your body. Things that support your mind. Do things like that and you're going to feel young. And as long as you feel young, your numerical age has nothing to do with it, okay? So we're going to create those affirmations, and every single time a negative or limiting belief thought pops up, you're going to speak your affirmation in replace of it. You're going to stop it dead in its tracks and speak your positive affirmation. Because the more you do this, the easier it will get, and the more you do it, the more you're going to believe it is true. And that is going to start transforming your life. I have said it before, and I will continue to say it. You can reprogram your mind. You can literally change your brain. There is scientific YouTube videos on it. I'm not going to get into the science of it, but you can recreate your neural pathways, and it is done through repetition. That's how we learn to do new things. That's why we practice when we're learning how to how to play an instrument or how to do a new skill. We're rebuilding our neural pathways when we're doing that, and it's the same way with your beliefs and your thoughts about things, including yourself. You can do it. It's completely possible, but it does take practice and consistency. And then the final thing is to find the good in everything and celebrate it. So we're going to stick with age right now because we're doing so great with that one. Find the good in your age. Like I said, the more life you live, the more experiences you have, the more wisdom you have, the more you're able to share that wisdom with people, and the more you're able to learn from those experiences. that is a great thing, because we all know, looking back at our younger selves, we definitely had some stupid moments. We all done dumb things, and our older selves look at our younger selves and we're like, if only you knew better. And now that you've experienced it, you know better. So you are in a better place already, a more experienced place, a place where you're actually qualified to do these things that you seem to believe that you're not qualified for, but you are. So find the good and celebrate it. Celebrate every year that you have lived and experienced, and every year you still have to live and to experience life. Life is a thing to be celebrated, so why would we ever get sad or negative about our age? Again, age ain't nothing but a number, and it's all about how you feel, okay? So take care of yourself and you're gonna feel great. But it's the same thing for all other things. Maybe you have limiting beliefs around money. Celebrate the money that you do have right now. And even if you're like, well, I don't seem to have a lot, that's okay, because you still have something. And if you're really struggling with celebrating the money that you have, then start somewhere else and celebrate the other things that you do have. Celebrate the fact that you have food to eat, or that you have money to get, or that you have a car, or that you can ride the bus and save on gas so you don't have to pay gas. Because I pay a lot of money in gas driving to and from work, and I know taking the bus is way cheaper. Yes, there's trade-offs in taking the bus versus driving, but celebrate the things. You can always find the good in everything and celebrate it. A few people come to mind when I think about how important it is to make sure that we don't let negative beliefs limit us, and that we are always assessing where our thoughts are at and if they are benefiting us or pulling us back. And I talk about one of them all the time, Steve Harvey, because I just really, really like his videos. Steve Harvey and Oprah. They have really great inspirational and motivational videos on YouTube, and I listen to them a lot. But Steve Harvey, like I said, I listen to them a lot, so it's like I know his stories, but I'm always reminded about this one of when he was younger and he was in grade school, he had a stutter, and he always dreamed that he was going to be, famous, and he was going to be on TV and things like that, but he had a stutter. And one of his teachers actually told him he would never amount to anything like what he was dreaming of. And obviously he did, but he did not let those limiting beliefs stop him. He did not let other people's limiting beliefs get into his mind. He made sure that he challenged them. He flipped the script. He worked on his beliefs. He worked on the physical things too, but he also made sure that his mindset was strong. And look at him now. And same thing with Oprah. She grew up in poverty, and on top of that, she's a black woman. And so she had the chips stacked against her from the outside looking in. But if you listen to her stories, she did not let those things change her mindset into limiting beliefs. She spoke positive things over herself. She believed in herself. And so even when people would speak against it, she had her mindset set already that she was going to achieve the things that she wanted to achieve. And look at her now. And then another person that I came across, I think last year, many people have heard her name. I'm sure you've heard her name, and she's actually a really great speaker, is Brene Brown. She has she's got plenty of YouTube videos, but she's got this big TED Talk. It kind of like blew up and made her this big person. But Brene Brown talks a lot about how she was like a major perfectionist. She felt that she needed to show up perfectly. And I know this is very relatable, especially for a lot of women. We feel that we need to show up and be perfect. We need to have our ducks in a row, and we cannot mess up. And she talks a lot about this and how she learned to become vulnerable, and being vulnerable helped her become more authentic and relatable also. But this process, and especially she talks about this in one of her videos, when she did this first TED Talk, it blew up, and she did have to counteract a lot of negative thoughts that people, we got keyboard warriors, people were posting all sorts of things, and she had to, well, she didn't have to read them, but she did read them, even though people told her not to. And they did, those comments did seep into her mindset for a little bit, and she did have to work at overcoming and flipping the script, changing those thoughts, and embracing her true self. And now she is a very successful, very vulnerable, very authentic person who embraces her imperfections, who embraces who she is and isn't ashamed of who she is and her age, how she looks, any of those things. And that's because she's retrained her mindset. She changed her mindset to find the good in things and to be on a more positive wavelength. And these are just a few people that are examples to you of the power of changing your mindset. I'm sure you could find hundreds more out there. These are the ones that stuck out to me. These are the ones that I often listen to on YouTube, so of course they're going to stick out to me, but they're great stories, and I think that they have wonderful stories to share and very relatable. So now that you have been given some tools on how to make over your mindset and transform your limiting beliefs into things that are empowering, I want you to go grab your journal, sit down, put in your headphones, and take some time to go over those thoughts that do limit you, that do keep you playing small, because there is no reason whatsoever that you should be playing small. There's no reason whatsoever that you should not be working towards your goals and your dream life. The only person that can prevent you from having what it is you really want in life is you. And it starts with changing your mindset. So go ahead and do it. And I'm very excited for where you're going to go after you figure out where you're limiting yourself and start changing your mindset, start flipping the script and speaking positive things over yourself. I'm telling you, you are limitless. The power is within you and you can do it. You can do anything if you believe you can do it. I believe you can do it, but it is about you believing that you can do it. So I will see you guys next week. Have a great week, and until then, bye.